All right, for this project, we are going to record a non-linear PowerPoint. So linear, as the word suggests, you might have heard it in math, means a line. I don't want to go in a straight line. I want to be able to click wherever I want in a non-linear fashion to go between slides and to open up pages, almost as if it's like a website. So for this project, we're going to use PowerPoint. So go ahead and find PowerPoint on your computer. It might be right on your desktop. You can look through the different designs up here, but for right now, I'm just going to do a new blank presentation. Should just give you a new one. I don't know if you will see these options for some different custom designs. You can look at them if you want. I would hesitate against using these video ones. That might be a little laggy. But for my example, I'm going to stick to the basics and just use a white screen. So I'm going to close that design ideas. You'll have some stuff already pre-generated on the screen. I'm just going to select it by grabbing the outside of the box here, and I'm going to select it and hit my delete key on my keyboard just so I don't have anything already there. So what we're going to do, and at this point you should have already thought about an overall theme. So I'm going to do fast food restaurants. Let's just pretend I'm doing mine on my favorite restaurants, and then for each of my 4 sub pages I might go over 4 specific examples. So you want an overall theme that your whole PowerPoint's about, and then for each of the 4 pages in it, there's going to be a subtopic in that theme that helps kind of elaborate and be detailed about it. So on our home page, and I'm going to do a very, very basic design. Obviously yours is going to be way more, but you're going to have some kind of home page. So if you want to just label it temporarily, you'll always be able to go back and edit this, but I'm going to just edit a little text box in here for now, just so I know and kind of keep track of what each page is going to be. And you'll obviously have a lot of time to come back and design these. So what I did is I went to Insert up at the top, and I chose a text box. Once you do that, you can draw out whatever size you want. Again, for now, you don't really have to do too much with this, but it might just help to kind of label what it will be. So this is going to be text about my topic. And again, obviously I'll have to come back and edit that later. Now, we're going to need 5 overall slides. There's going to be a home page, which is this, and then the 4 subtopic pages. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go over here and right click, and I guess I could go up here too, but I'm going to just do new slide. So you could right click and say new slide. You could click up here and say new slide, or if you like the way you designed one, you could right click and say duplicate the slide. However you want to do it, I want you to have 5 pages over here on your slideshow bar. Okay. So you'll have your home page, you'll have subtopic 1, subtopic 2, subtopic 3, and 4. Okay. So what I think I want to do is start thinking about how I want to navigate through my 5 pages. So for me, again, treat this as if it were a website that you're building. Where do websites typically have their links? Usually it's along the side, usually maybe on the left-hand side, or maybe along the top. If you think about, how Amazon or something like that might look, it's totally up to you. You can put them wherever you want, but obviously I wouldn't put them just in the middle of the page, because that's where all of your content and your text and your pictures and stuff are going to be. So I need to think about where my buttons are going to go. For me, I'm going to just put them maybe along the left side of my screen. Now, you could do insert and then pick some shapes up here. You could have buttons that are like that or something, and I can show you some tips later on potentially filling these with pictures. That might be a good idea. So keep that in mind. You could have a little button that you create like this, or for me, if I'm doing restaurants, then I might go to Google and type in perhaps like McDonald's logo, or if that was one of my subtopics, and I might go and get one of these images to use. So for example, I say, all right, this one looks like it could be good. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to right click the image up here, and I'm going to do save image as, and that should save it to my computer. If for whatever reason it's not saving properly, or it's not saving as an actual picture file like a JPEG or a PNG, you could use your snipping tool. If I went down here to the bottom and type in snipping tool, and then I could say I want to do a new snip. Remember, the snipping tool lets you grab an image on the screen, so I could select just this little bit, and then I kind of got some extra stuff in there, and then I would save my picture, keep track of it, maybe put all your stuff in a folder, and then we'll be able to bring it in. So for me, I've already done an example here. So what I did was I just put all my files into a folder already. So as you can maybe see, I've got a Burger King logo, I've got a McDonald's logo, I've got a Chick-fil-A, and I got a Dairy Queen. I also made a little house for like a home button. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my image, so my McDonald's, for example, I'm just gonna hold and drag, and I'm gonna drag it right into my PowerPoint. Now, obviously, this is huge, so I need to grab the corner and stretch this way down. Basically, I'm creating some buttons. So for me, I'm gonna have my button for my McDonald's be up here. Then I'm gonna do the same sort of thing for my other examples. So maybe I drag my Burger King in next, again, resize it. Here's a cool thing. If I grab the left side of my image over here, I don't know if you can see very well on your screen, but you can see as I move it into place, a little dotted line appears that keeps it in line with the McDonald's shape, for instance. And you can see as I move it around, it kind of lines up with, the top has a dotted line with the text box. These are just guidelines to keep it so that they're aligned properly. So I'm going to line it up with the left of my McDonald's, and I'm going to resize it a little bit more. And you'll notice that, see, like right there, it's saying when I resize it, now it's lined up with the right side of the McDonald's. So basically, I'm lining it up so that it is all in the same column as the existing button. I want it to all be straight in a straight line. So I'm going to grab my Chick-fil-A. I'm going to resize again. I'm going to line it up. I'm going to shrink it down from the corner so it lines up there. I wouldn't stretch it like this from the corner to line it up because you can see it's going to get all goofy looking. So I'm going to undo that. And then again, last one, I'm going to grab my Dairy Queen. Again, trying to keep it lined up makes it look nice because you don't want one button that's gigantic like this or like off center. That would drive me crazy, right? So I'm going to line it up right there. I'm going to stretch it down so it fits with the other ones as best I can. You can kind of see there. Good enough, right? I'll also go ahead and throw my home page button on here because I need a way to get back to my home screen, which we'll talk about as we get going. So basically, I'm just setting up what my button layout might potentially be, okay? Again, maybe I make my home screen a little bit smaller. I don't want it to take up much space on the screen. Okay. At this point, let's think about what each page is going to be. So if I have McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, and Dairy Queen in a row, I probably want each of these pages to correspond. I wouldn't want the Dairy Queen page to be first when it's like the last one on my list. So again, temporarily, these are going to be much more designed soon, but I'm going to just label what I want each of these pages to be about. So McDonald's was the first one, then Burger King, then Chick-fil-A, and then Dairy Queen. And again, I'm going to have to move these in a little bit, so I just wanted a way to be able to see that I'm actually switching screens here. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to do in this part 1 video is I'm going to show you how to hyperlink between pages so that when I click the Burger King button, it takes me to the Burger King page. So all these images that we're adding, again, in website terms, these are going to be buttons or links that take you to another screen, okay? So let me make sure. All right, sorry, I was just checking on one little file here. Okay, so if I click on my McDonald's button, right, I'm going to right click it, and then down kind of halfway through, there's one that says link. So I'm going to click that, and now I can decide where I want it to link to. I could put it out to an external website, which we'll talk about later. But in our case, we want to go to a place in this document because we want it to link to another page in our file. So you can see, and yours might be called slide 1, slide 2, slide 3. I just kind of, by changing the text box, that looks like it automatically labeled the slides for me. But you might need to just double check. My McDonald's is going to go to my McDonald's page. It might be called slide 2 on yours. So I'm going to say, I want my McDonald's button to take me to the McDonald's page. Same thing with Burger King. I'm going to right click it, link. I'm going to select the Burger King page. Right click, link, Chick-fil-A should take me to the 3rd or the 4th page. Dairy Queen, link to the last 5th page. I'll also go ahead and do my home button. So I want my home button, when I click that, to link to my home page, my slide 1, whatever it's called. Okay? Now, at this point, all these buttons should work. And before I can test it, I want to just go ahead and get these buttons onto my other pages, because it looks like these are all going to be the same on every single page. So here's how I like to do this. If I hold my Shift key on my keyboard, so I'm holding Shift, and then I go and click all of my buttons, you'll see by holding Shift, I can grab multiple things at once. So I've grabbed all 5 of my little buttons that I've made. I'm going to go to my keyboard and I'm going to type in Control-C. That means copy. Okay, so I've copied all 5 of those buttons. So if I go to my McDonald's page and I do Control-V, which is paste, it pastes them in. I'll go to my next screen, paste, paste, and again, Control-V to paste. Obviously, you can see I'm kind of overlapping my text boxes, so you might need to fix that eventually. But again, these are all just kind of temporary placeholders for my example, right? Okay, let's test this out. So in order to try a slideshow, we're going to go up to the slideshow. We're going to do from beginning. At this point, it starts the show. If I click the McDonald's button, it takes me to the McDonald's slide. If I go out of order and click Dairy Queen, it takes me to that page. I could go back to McDonald's. I could go back to Dairy Queen, Chick-fil-A, Burger King. I should be able to click home. It takes me back here. So at this point, all of my buttons to navigate should be working. Here's a problem though. If I just click out in the middle of the screen over here, where we're going to originally or eventually have content, if I click, it's still taking me through the slideshow. I don't want that to happen. I only want it to move slides when I click a button, not just anywhere on the screen. So the last thing we'll do real quick on this video before we get into animations and what we're going to add to the pages is we're going to go to the slide 1, up at the Transitions tab. So it's this one up here, right at the top, Transitions. There's an option on the top right that says Advance Slide. By default, it says that we should be able to advance by mouse click. I don't want that to happen. I don't want it to be able to go to the next slide wherever I click the mouse. So for each of my 5 pages, I'm going to open it up. In Transitions, I'm going to undo that checkbox for on mouse click advanced slide. So now, if I were to play my slideshow, I can click anywhere on the screen and it's not going to take me until I click on those buttons. All right? So that's part 1. Hopefully you can get your homepage and your 4 subtopics thought about, linked out, find some example images, and I'll show you some tricks on how to do some cool stuff with editing the images for buttons potentially in the next video. So even if you use kind of temporary things for now, we can always change them later. So go ahead and get your pages all linked and connected, and we will come back in the next video to show you some more tricks. Good luck.